Hey, what's good, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Fishing with Bottles. Today I'm going to walk you guys through how I tie my jigs. I do a lot of twitching, good for coho, chinook, chum, pinks, everything seems to like them. Catch trout on them, they work real good. So these are not the only colors that work, but these are some of my favorites. This one here, you guys can see this blue head, the pink, the purple, with some pink on the inside there. That will kill coho and pink salmon. They go bonkers for that thing. This has turned into my new favorite though. This like chartreuse head, chartreuse body, some blue and pink on the inside. That's what I'm going to tie right now. Show you guys how to do this one. This has been real good for coho and chinook. I've got some chum on it too. This is a similar idea, kind of a combo with it too. Got the chartreuse and purple there. Bunch of different color combos you can do. I did the Halloween jigs before, those worked well. But these two for coho, these two they're winning for me. They're winning. So if I'm fishing clear water, overcast day, maybe like this is my go-to for coho. This has caught me a lot of fish in clear water too, but like dirty muddy water, some chocolate milk, this is good. Also, your dark colors like this purple, UV jig head, of course. This stands out real good in dark water too. It casts a good silhouette. All right, let's get started. This was picked up at, I think I got this from Hatchmatcher for like 25 bucks. You can get yourself a used one, or a new cheap one, or a new expensive one, whatever you feel like. But yeah, this was like 25 bucks. These are the jig heads. I'll leave a link in the description how I make them. This one has like the ridges for keeping soft plastics on. I like this because it kind of bulks out the body. But if you're just using these like these kind of straight ones without the ridges and stuff, that's fine. That's fine. This little contraption, I forget what it's called. Bobbin? I think that's a bobbin. I don't tie flies and stuff, just jigs. I'll go through the colors of everything I'm using. This is a fluorescent pink 210 thread. Just going to kind of hold this guy down here and give her some wraps starting up at the front, and just work your way down the jig till we get to the back. Remember, your jigs don't have to be fancy either. Like, they're hopping in the water column. Fish aren't getting a good look at them, so if your jig's a little on the ugly side, have no fear. Starting off with this guy for the tail. Some folks do these like super long streaming tails. I don't like them. I don't have luck with them. If that's how you want to tie your jigs, and if you do have luck with them like that, hey, all the power to you. So I'll just cut me off like, I don't know, this piece in here is like an inch. This thing's maybe like 2 inches. And I'm going to set it a little bit farther back. We're just going to wrap this guy on here a bunch of times. When you come around the bottom, watch the hook point. You don't want to break your thread. This doesn't look super professional. That's because it's not. I try and lift this up and just make sure we're like fairly even there, fairly straight. Make sure it's tightened down good. And then we're going to take a longer piece. A lot of guys will just do this and then they'll like start adding feathers and stuff. I like to bulk out the body. I want a thick body because when it's in the water, I don't want it to turn into a thin little worm. This will help keep that body. So I'm going to take this end, put it on here, and just kind of wrap down the end a little bit. Sorry, I'm kind of wobbling this table. If you guys see my setup, it's not pretty, but it works. Just wrap them around there, make sure it's secured. Then I pull it back, pull everything back, and I just kind of go over top of it to lock it down. How this looks does not matter. at least this beginning part, because all of this is going to be covered up. This is just for the sake of the bulk. And then we come down. I'm going to come down to this little first notch here. Now we're just going to wrap this around here and build up the body. I'm sure everybody has different ways they like to tie. This is just how I do mine, and I catch a lot of fish on these things. I'm going to come up to where I stopped my thread before, and now we're going to go over and seal all that in place. Again, this doesn't have to be pretty. All that this is doing, pull this back and we'll go over it. All this is doing is just filling out the body. That's it. This is just so it stays thick. That's good enough there. If you got some excess, trim it off. Make sure your scissors are sharp. You need a good pair of sharp scissors. I use these curved ones. Doesn't matter, you can use straight ones. Up to you. I actually got those from like a, what do you call it, like a medical store. Alright, let's take a look at the marabou. These are the two colors I'm using. This one's going on the inside, this one's going on the outside. With these, you can see this stuff's short, and here this stuff's useless. Useless. You need that like a little bit longer stuff up here. So I'm going to take like, say, pretty much from here, and I'm just going to rip that right off in the garbage. This side's a little bit better. We'll go, say, right here. Just pull it right off. This, I just grab it like this, and like, can you guys see that? I grab it like this in my hand like this, and I just snip up the vein here. Sorry, I'm trying to do this in a way you guys can see, but it's kind of awkward. Hopefully you guys can see here. I'm just cutting up the vein. It's all straight here. I gotta bunch it in this hand, re-grab it in this hand, and then this I'm gonna trim straight. I'm gonna do it over the garbage can though, because and then this I'm gonna put this here. I'm not gonna put it like right up at the front. I'm gonna put it back a bit because the stuff, the other color's going up at the front, and I don't want to like bulk up this neck super big. So we're going back here, just fasten it down a couple of wraps. We're gonna put a lot of this stuff on there. So again, I'm just grabbing it like this, cutting it down here, bunch it together like that, take it and bunch it together like that. You got your end there. Cut it over the trash can so it doesn't make a big mess. Flat top. We're just going to keep adding it like side by side. Don't skimp on this stuff. Don't do it. Don't skimp on it. We want thick jigs. We want some thickies. Just keep on repeating the process. Again, keep yourself a little bit of a gap up front here. Just keep trimming, keep bunching. The first couple of jigs you do is going to take you probably a little while to do. Once you're getting better at it, I'll do like, I don't know, a jig in about 10 minutes. I see some guys, they'll just take a full marabou and they'll just wrap the stem and all, just wrap it around there. Those are ugly jigs. They're like, no, we're not doing that. Your jigs don't have to be pretty, but let's not make them ugly. Just a couple wraps to hold it in place. Like when we get towards the end of this, we'll give it a couple good wraps and really tighten it down. So what to do when you get to these end pieces, I grab them like so, and I just chop it there. That'll already be nice and flat. And this, for me, what I do with this, because I don't want to waste it, I just put it at the hook point. The hook point is right here. You can see where my tie is. The hook point's right here. This part's going to cover the hook point. There's no real reason why I do that. It's just not a great piece of feathering, and I don't know. It's just a way that I don't have to waste it. If you put it on the side, your jig, it don't look good. So I just tuck it there. It's a good way to make use of it without wasting it. Again, these like this short stuff here, I got no use for it. Even my like 1/8 ounce jigs, like that stuff, too short. This side is much better. I'll just take the bottom a little bit there. We just keep making our way around. And I'll add, even if I'm only doing one color jig, like that chartreuse head with the purple, I'll still start my underlayer back here, and then I'll leave that space and I'll do an overlayer, even if they're both purple, just to fill out that body nicely. Everybody's got their own way of tying jigs. This is just, I watched a handful of videos and kind of saw what worked for me over the next couple of months, and then I've been doing it this way for, I don't know, probably 3 years. Start to get a little bit of, you can see this kind of bulking up down here. If you want to do a couple extra wraps and just kind of tighten those down a little bit, you can. Just kind of do these things as you go, but it's not a big deal because we'll tighten everything down real good at the end. Now we just give it a little blow on the back. No diddy. Take a look at this. Hopefully you guys can kind of see that, but when you blow on the back, it'll show you like where you're thin, what needs a little extra, where you're good. This looks pretty good. It's a little thin here. I'll add a little bit more. So your jig's upside down, right? The hook's pointed down. So this area usually gets the most attention, and you usually end up with a lot of stuff on top. And this underside is usually what gets neglected. So I just blow on the back. It pushes all the feathers forward, and then you can look at it from the front, and you can see what needs some filling in. Now I'm going to start wrapping it tighter and just go over it. I don't even know how many times. I just go. This isn't a science, people. Give her another blow on the back. You can see it looks a little bit short back here, so I'm going to take some of this longer stuff and just move it back a little bit. It's really not that big of a deal when it's short on this side, because this is the bottom of the jig, right? So everything that's on the sides is going to flow down when you're twitching. Not a big deal. Add a little bit more, that's okay. I like them thick. Okay, let's move up front. This stuff gets all over my pants while I'm working. It always happens. I like to just kind of leave them on the floor and stuff. Gives my wife something to do. All right, let's move on to the chartreuse. Same thing, the bottom of these aren't always pretty. Rip them off if you gotta. This one's actually pretty good. Look at that length. I like to have a little bit of a longer outer layer because it just covers all that inner ugliness that we all have inside of us. Exact same thing, just pinching off an area, cutting straight down the vein there. Bunch it together in your fingers like so. Bunch it in your fingers again. You got that ugly top. Flatten her out. And this we're going to put like right up front, right up close to that jig head. Now when we're wrapping these, we're going to stay up front too. We don't want the neck of our jig, I don't know what you call it, if it's actually called a neck. Collar maybe? Maybe that's what it's called. But this collar, we don't want it going like super far back, right? We want to keep it up front. You can just go around it 2 or 3 times, like we're just trying to hold it in place. Don't have to go around it a lot. Sorry, I'm working a little bit faster. Hopefully you guys got the gist of it. Keep working our way around. See if it's kind of bunching up at the front. Just go around it a couple extra times. Come in front of it and pull it back. Just cleaning her up as we go. Again, we get to that top part. I still make use of it. Goes on top up front. Over where the hook point is. Pull everything back every once in a while and give her some extra wraps. And see the length that the collar, we'll call it, is now. That's about how far I'm going to go. I might come a little bit farther back, but not much. I typically use about 1.5 to 2 of these feathers for each color. So a typical jig will have anywhere from 3 to 4 like full feathers on it. Just keep it going. We're almost at the home stretch. Okay, I'm going to lock this down a little bit, and then we're going to blow on the back, no diddy. Now you guys can see there's these tufts that are sticking out here. I'm going to take the thread and I'm going to push those back and then go over top of them. You'll see what I mean here. So these tufts, I'm going to like push them back with the thread and go around them, go over top of them, and then push them back and go over top of them until they all are disappeared. This 210 thread is pretty strong, but you can break it. Don't think it's invincible. So don't rip on it like super hard. Because if you break it off, it's kind of annoying. You can get it going again, it's just a little extra work. And I'll also say, for this color, I don't usually do the tinsel. I don't know if you guys can see in these pink and purples. Oh yeah, you guys can see it kind of catches the light there. I put some tinsel in these. I don't usually do it for this color, but I will just to show you guys how I do it. It's actually super easy. All of my jigs are like, I make them thick and compact. These aren't long jigs. They don't have that big flowing tail. These aren't super long, right? But I'm going to cut this tinsel about the same length as the jig. Say about that long. And then about the same length again. And I'll do these in twos. And I'll just put 2 here, 2 on this side, and 2 on this side. And you just wrap them down. Very simple. You can pull on them a little bit and adjust them out to the sides, or flare them out however you want, or keep them straight. Go 2 on this side. Two on this side. And that is it. We are done. To finish your jigs, is this a bobbin? Or is this the bobbin? So if you don't have one of these, you can basically do like, all it's doing is half hitches. So you can take this and just put it over top like a half hitch. If you have one of these though, it's just much faster. And you just take it like so, and then lay this across there and twist it into a figure 4. Hopefully you guys can see the figure 4 there. And then just wrap it over the top and give it, I don't know, like maybe 6 or 7. And then pop it. Pop that out last. Cut it real close, basically as close as you can without cutting it. This guy, hard as hull. This stuff been working real good for me. There's some other products out there that I'm sure work good as well. This is just what I've been using. And this is like, it soaks into the thread, so I just brush a little bit on there. And then on top, especially where you finished that knot, you don't have to drown it. You don't need a ton, but you do want to make sure you get that knot spot. Let that sit for, it dries fast, maybe 60 seconds or so. And then you can like touch it if it's a little tacky. Just let it dry a little bit longer, but it dries pretty fast. And just so you get an idea, like after it's wet and in the water and stuff, that's roughly how thick it's going to be, you know, like the water really condenses everything down. That's why I do that rabbit fur in the middle. It kind of holds everything, makes everything a little bit more solid. You got plenty of space in between that hook gap. You look at this dry jig, doesn't look like there's much area. Hope you guys can see that. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of space in between that hook gap, right? But when it's wet, you can see there's plenty of space there to hook you a fish. Plenty. So Tyler started calling this one the sour key. I like the name. I want to stick with it. This is my sour key pattern. It works. Coho been crushing it. Chinook, chum. Everybody seems to love this guy. Little Dennis Rodman jig head there. She's good.